friend, and welcome to Encounters at the Well. I'm Amy Donathan, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a life coach, and most importantly, a woman who knows what it's like to carry things that you don't want to talk about. Last year on this podcast, I had the honor of sitting with women who shared how God met them in their broken places, and my story was included in those. Those conversations changed me, and I believe they changed some of you too. This year, we're going to go deeper, and I'm bringing you a series. Real, honest, extended conversations on the topics that most of us have been carrying quietly. The stuff we think about in the shower, the stuff we only whisper to our closest friends, if we even say it at all. And along the way, I'll still be bringing women who have walked these roads and are willing to share what God did in the middle of it. We're talking about comparison and people pleasing, marriage, the beautiful and the brutal parts of it, motherhood and all the mom guilt that comes with it, depression, anxiety, addiction, and why faith doesn't always make it disappear. We'll be talking about money, church hurt, abuse, grief, and the sins women don't talk about. These are hard truths, but holy conversations. Because I believe that God doesn't meet us in our highlight reels. He meets us at the well, tired, thirsty, and carrying things we were never meant to carry alone. So if you've ever felt too broken or too far gone or too alone in what you're going through, this podcast is for you. So pull up a chair, friend, because there is always room for you here. This is Encounters at the Well. Okay, let me set the stage. You're lying in bed. It's late. You told yourself you were just going to check one more thing, one more notification, one more message, and then you would go to sleep. But that was 30 minutes ago. Now you're really deep into someone's vacation photos. Her kitchen is gorgeous. Her kids are smiling. Her husband wrote her this long, gushing anniversary post about how she's the most incredible woman he's ever known. And then something in your chest just tightens. You put the phone down and stare at the ceiling, and the voices start. Why doesn't my life look like that? What am I doing wrong? Why does everyone else seem to have it figured out, and I'm still here, barely holding it together? If you have ever had that moment, that late night scroll that left you feeling less than, behind, or invisible, I need you to hear me right now. You are not crazy, you are not ungrateful, and you are definitely not alone. Welcome to the Identity and Self-Worth series. My name is Amy Donathan, and for the next 5 episodes, we are going to dig into the stuff that quietly steals your sense of who you are. And we're going to take it back. Today, we're starting where most of us feel it first, the comparison trap. Social media envy. The highlight reel that makes your real life feel like it's not enough. This is not a lecture about putting your phone down. This is a conversation about what's really happening in your heart when you scroll. And I think by the end of this episode, you're going to feel seen in a way that maybe you haven't in a while. So stay with me and let's get into it. Okay, let's just be honest for a second. How many times has this happened to you? You open your phone, maybe you're waiting in the carpool line, maybe you're on a break at work, or maybe you're just bored. Within 5 minutes, your entire mood has shifted. You see the friend who just got the promotion you have been praying for, the woman at church who somehow homeschools 4 kids, runs a ministry, and still has time to post aesthetically perfect meal prep on a Tuesday. The influencer your age who looks like she hasn't aged a day, and you're over here finding all the gray hairs that you didn't even know you had. And here's the thing. You don't even realize what's happening at first. It starts so subtly. It's not like you open Instagram and think, I'm about to spiral into self-doubt. No, it's more like this quiet erosion, one post at a time. Something inside you gets a little smaller. Your confidence, your contentment, your peace, it just leaks out. And by the time you put the phone down, you don't even know why you feel so heavy. You just know that 10 minutes ago you were fine, and now you're questioning everything. Comparison doesn't knock on the door and announce itself. It sneaks in through the screen. And I want to name that today because I think so many of us have been living in this low-grade sense of not enough, and we've just accepted it as normal. We've chalked it up to, well, that's just social media. But what if it's more than that? What if it's actually doing something to us spiritually? And we're going to get there. But first, I want to talk about why. Why does this hit so hard? Why comparison isn't just a social media problem, it's a human problem, and it's older than any of us realize. So here's something that might surprise you. Comparison didn't start with social media. Social media just gave it a megaphone. Think about it. When you were a little girl, you were already comparing. Who had the better backpack, who got invited to the birthday party, who the teacher liked best, who developed first, who got asked to the dance. We have all been measuring ourselves against other people for as long as we've been alive. It's almost like it's hardwired into us, this constant scanning of where we stand in relation to everyone else. And honestly, there's a reason for it. Psychologists call it social comparison theory. The idea is that we evaluate ourselves by looking at others, especially when we're uncertain about our own worth or abilities. When we don't have a solid internal sense of who we are, we look outward. But here's where it gets dangerous. In the past, you might compare yourself to a handful of people, your neighbors, your coworkers, a woman at church. It's a really small circle and a manageable group. Now, you're comparing yourself to thousands of people every single day. People with professional photographers, brand deals, editing apps, and content strategies designed to make their life look as aspirational as possible. And you're comparing your Tuesday morning, the one with the cereal crusted toddler and the email you forgot to send, to someone's curated, filtered, carefully captioned highlight reel. And your brain doesn't know the difference. It just registers. She has it all together and I don't. But friend, you were never meant to compare yourself to 1,000 people a day. Your heart was not built for that. Social media didn't create comparison, but it poured gasoline on a fire that was already burning. And now we're walking around with these invisible burns, wondering why everything stings. Now, I already know what some of you are thinking, and it's this. I know it's a highlight reel. I know people only post their best moments. I'm not naive. And you're right. You do know that logically. But here's the gap. Knowing it and feeling it are two completely different things. You can know intellectually that the woman with the perfect family photo probably took 47 shots and yelled at her kids in between takes. And you can know that the friend with the dream job cries in her car on the way home. You can know that the influencer with the flawless skin is using a filter. And you can know all of that and still feel the sting, because comparison doesn't operate in your logical brain. It operates in your emotional brain. It bypasses the part of you that knows better and goes straight for the part of you that's already wondering if you're enough. And let's be real about something else. It's not just strangers and influencers. Sometimes the hardest comparison is with the people closest to you. Your sister, your best friend, the woman in your small group who seems to pray longer, parent better, and never lose her patience. That's the comparison nobody talks about, the one that comes with the side of guilt. Because you love this person, you're happy for them. But somewhere, deep down, their success or their blessing feels like a spotlight on your lack. And then you feel ashamed for even feeling that way. Can I tell you something? That shame, that is not from God. In James 3, verses 14 through 16, it says, "But if you harbor bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast about it or deny the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from heaven, but is earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where you have envy and selfish ambition, there you find disorder and every evil practice." Now, before that verse makes you feel worse, I want you to hear what it's actually saying. It's not saying you're a terrible person for feeling envy. It's saying that envy creates disorder. It disrupts your peace. It tangles up your heart. And the first step to getting free from it is to stop pretending that it isn't there. Because you don't heal what you won't name. And you can't take it to God if you won't admit you're carrying it. Okay, I need to go here because I think this is one of the most overlooked aspects of comparison, and it might be the most painful one. Comparison in the church. We don't talk about this enough, but the pressure to be the perfect Christian woman is real and it's heavy. You know the archetype. She wakes up before the sun for her quiet time. Her home is warm and welcoming. Her marriage is thriving. Her kids are respectful. She volunteers, she leads, she serves, she gives, and she does it all with a smile and a Bible verse pinned on her apron. And if that's genuinely someone's life and calling, praise God. But for the rest of us, the ones who are doing our best and still feel like we're coming up short spiritually, that image can become a weapon we use against ourselves. We start thinking things like, if I were a better Christian, I wouldn't struggle like this. Or if my faith were stronger, I'd have more peace. Or she reads her Bible every morning and I can barely keep my eyes open during prayer. What is wrong with me? And suddenly, the very place that's supposed to be your refuge, your church, your community, your faith, becomes another stage where you feel like you're not measuring up. So I want to speak directly to you if that's where you are right now. If you've been sitting in church feeling like everyone else has a direct line to God and yours must be on hold, that is a lie. That is comparison wearing a church dress. God is not comparing you to her, and He never has been. He's not up there with a clipboard going, well, she prayed for 45 minutes this morning and you only managed 7. So that's not how He works. In 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, the Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. He sees your 7-minute prayer and He sees the whole heart behind it. He sees the woman who's barely holding on and still showing up. He sees the mom who forgot to do the devotional but whispered, help me, Jesus, over the dishes. And He says, that's my girl. You don't have to earn your way into His approval. You already have it, and no one else's spiritual highlight reel changes that. All right, we've talked about what comparison looks like, the scroll, the highlight reel, the church pressure. Now I want to go beneath the surface and talk about what comparison actually feels like. Because until we name these emotions honestly, we can't bring them to God. So here goes. Let's just lay it out. Jealousy. I want what she has. Envy. It's not fair that she has it and I don't. Inadequacy. I'm not smart enough, pretty enough, spiritual enough, put together enough. Resentment. Why does she always get the blessing and I always get the struggle? Shame. I am a terrible person for even feeling this way. These are heavy words, and if hearing them out loud made your stomach clench a little, that might be because you have been carrying them silently for a long time. And here's what I need you to know. Feeling these things does not make you a bad person. It does not make you a bad Christian. It makes you a human being living in a world that constantly tells you you're not enough while showing you 1,000 images of people who appear to be. The problem isn't that you feel these things. The problem is when we bury them, deny them, or dress them up in spiritual language, we don't have to deal with them. We say, I'm just struggling with contentment, when what we really mean is, I'm so jealous of her life that it makes me sick. We say, I'm working on being grateful, when what we really mean is, I resent that she got the thing I've been praying for. And listen, I'm not saying this to condemn anyone. I'm saying it because freedom starts with honesty. You cannot heal what you refuse to name. In Galatians chapter 6, verses 4 through 5, each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else, for each one should carry their own load. Paul is saying something radical here. He's saying, stop looking sideways. Stop measuring your load against hers. Pick up your own, examine your own life, and find your value there. Not in the gap between your life and someone else's. That's not easy, but that's where freedom starts. Before we start moving toward hope and truth, and I promise we're going to get there, I want to take a moment to talk about the cost. Because comparison isn't free. It's been charging you rent this whole time, and I think that it's time that you saw the bill. Comparison steals your joy. You can't celebrate what God is doing in your life when you're fixated on what He's doing in someone else's. You get the good news, the answered prayer, the open door, and instead of dancing, you're already looking at who got something bigger. Comparison damages your relationships. You start competing with the women who are supposed to be your sisters. You can't be genuinely happy for a friend because her win feels like your loss. In that distance, she probably feels it, even if neither of you have said a word. Comparison paralyzes your calling. You don't start the podcast, the ministry, the business, the book, because you think someone else is already doing it better. So you convince yourself the world doesn't need your version. And your gift stays buried because you measured it against someone else's. Comparison distances you from God because when you're living in not enough, it's really hard to believe that the God of the universe looks at you and says, "You are my masterpiece." Comparison whispers, "Yeah, but look at her masterpiece." That is a high price to pay, and most of us have been paying it for years without even realizing it. So examine yourself and think, what has comparison cost me? Really think about that. What has it taken that you haven't gotten back yet? Okay, we have sat in the hard stuff, we've named the pain, the emotions, the cost. And if you're still with me, I'm proud of you because sometimes just being honest about where you are is the bravest thing that you can do. But I didn't bring you here to leave you in this mess. I brought you here so we could start walking out of it together. And it starts with this: every time comparison speaks, God has already spoken first. When comparison says you're not enough, Psalm 139:13-16 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place, when I was woven together in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Do you hear that? You were not an accident. You were not an afterthought. You were not assembled from leftover parts after God finished making the woman you're jealous of. You were knit together intentionally, specifically. Every detail, every quirk, every part of your story ordained before you took your first breath. God didn't make you and then look at someone else and think, "Oh, I should have made her more like that one." He looked at you and said, "She is exactly what I had in mind." When comparison says God must love her more because look at her blessings, God says, "I don't operate on a scarcity model. Her blessing did not come from your pile." When comparison says you'll never be as good as her, God says, "I never asked you to be her. I asked you to be you." You were never meant to be a copy of someone else. You were meant to be the only version of you that has ever existed. And the world needs that version. Not the version trying to keep up, not the version performing for approval, not the filtered, curated, carefully captioned version, the real one, the one God made on purpose. All right, so here's your assignment for this week. And I want you to actually do this, not just nod and move on. This is how we start to break the cycle. This week, I want you to pay attention to when comparison creeps in. Every time you catch yourself measuring your life against someone else's, on social media, at church, at work, in a conversation, pause and write it down. Don't judge yourself for it. Don't try to fix it in the moment. Just notice it. Get curious about it. Ask yourself, what was I feeling right before that comparison hit? Was it insecurity, loneliness, fear? At the end of the week, take that list to God, literally. Sit down, open your journal, or just talk to Him and say, "Here it is. This is where I've been measuring myself against other people. What do you want to show me?" And then listen, because He will answer. Maybe not in a booming voice from heaven, but maybe in a verse that hits different, a quiet thought that brings peace, a moment of clarity where you suddenly see yourself the way He sees you. That's where we're headed in this series. That's the destination. But it starts here with noticing, with naming, and with being brave enough to bring it into the light. Before we go on, I want to pray for you. If you're listening to this and you don't know Jesus, I just want to say this quick prayer for you. Dear Jesus, we lift up the woman who listened to this, who knows that she compares herself to others and finds herself lacking, Lord. I pray that she comes to you. I pray that she knows that she cannot do this life on her own, that there is not enough good that she can do to get to heaven, that she needs you, Lord. And through you, you make her perfect. And so, Lord, I pray that for her. I pray that she comes to you. And for the woman who's listening to this, who does know you, but still lives within those comparisons, Lord, I pray that she hands them all over to you. I pray that she sees herself the way you see her, as perfectly and wonderfully made. You made her unique. You made her the only her that has ever been on this earth. Help her to realize that and help her to grow closer to you and let go of the insecurities that keep her stuck where she's at. And I pray all of these things expectantly and excitedly to see what you're going to do. So if you heard that and you are not saved and you want to be saved and you want to have a talk about it, in the episode description is how you can get a hold of me. I would love to hear from you. And if you're a woman who knows Jesus, but you're still dealing with this, I want to hear from you too. Drop me an email or get on my Facebook page. But I want to let you know about the next episode. We're going to go even deeper. We're going to talk about people pleasing, why so many of us are running ourselves into the ground trying to be everything for everyone, and what it looks like to shift from performing for people to living for God. It's going to be a good one, and I need you there. If this episode hit home for you, share it with a friend, send it to a woman you know who is struggling with this too. One of the most powerful things we can do is look at another woman and say, "Me too, you're not alone." Thank you for being here. Thank you for being honest. And thank you for being brave enough to start this journey. I'll see you on the next one.